I would think about a deep topic at work, and it would be a category we all fall short in. And so, let's get into it. Today I was thinking about one of the sins that would conceal and kill Tesla, help produce Hitler through the ideology of evolution, and even cause Lucifer, a beautiful angel, to fall from heaven. I've always been taught to lead with grace, to lead with love, and so as I will not judge harshly, hoping you wouldn't either. Jesus combats pride with truth. He teaches us the opposite in the ways to not allow captivity over the mind from sin. Pride, knowledge. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. For by grace given unto me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought to, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment and in accordance with the faith God has distributed each of you. Faith, virtue, then knowledge was something I would go to say, and that would be in 2 Peter 1:6. Think of the shroud that pride creates, an inability to learn. Knowledge in the beginning after each day was seen as good. Genesis 1:1-31. It was the manipulation of it and the bending to the will that made it evil. A sense of position would puff people up, even creating area where we studying to learn more but lack development in other vital areas. When life is about growth, balance is key. Knowledge would cause division if used improperly. All perspectives, learning from eating. We earn things by efforts, and close to us it is, due to pride usually. Hopefully, we see more of an outlook with humility and lowliness, in hopes that we would learn more. Pride, ego. One's confidence can get in the way of empathy, compassion, and at times even being humble. Vainglory would fall into this category too, because of the I did. The entitlement that would come with a worthy sacrifice that was made. It doesn't justify being wrong, though. Self-righteousness would fall into this category as well, and it would be due to works. Or even tribulation. We can tend to draw connections close to our heart, but if it could be plugged into the source, how much more could be accomplished? How many more people could it have impacted? So Psalms 25:9 would be one thing that was provided in the message this weekend that I would have read. And it says, He guides the humble what is right and teaches him his way. Pride, craftsmanship. Building one's own kingdom as possessions here deteriorate versus building an eternal kingdom. God's kingdom does not fade away, does not perish. And so that would be in Matthew 6:19-21. I'll read this. Do not store up for yourselves treasure on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves a treasure in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also. And so the riches and the wealth that is found in Christ don't corrode, but also will benefit you all through life and evermore upon building hope. Wealth is built by hard work. Someone provided that life and the knowledge pertaining to that skill. It's easy to forget source, as skills are an inheritance in a way, and they're also taught. When we begin looking at our own ability over who's provided that ability, plus overlooking God's ability, there's a withdrawal of gratitude. And at times, we miss out on the bigger picture aligned to what God's way would be. Maybe virtues in Him would lead to success, and they maintain that integrity and character, but His plan is bigger than usually what we would have conceived. Maybe it is in alignment with what we'd want to do, but He would have us taken somewhere higher and heightened. Because as the lights of the world, we were born to stand out. So, we lose sight and refocus more on our labors than versus what's actually important. Instead of seeing knowledge of God, craftsmanship would prevent sight for Israel because of their amazing accomplishments, even as the Tower of Babel and what it would stand for, as Christ is the way in the true strong tower. I'm not saying motivation in accomplishing anything is bad, but because sometimes we need that. We need to look to that and be encouraged and motivated. But when it gets in the way of devotion or becomes a distraction, it can be. And lastly, it would be pride, gay. Think of the balance of phileo love and what it is, and how it gets misconstrued and twisted and creates gaps in culture. Awkward circumstances in meeting publicly. Maybe just being a loving person, a mind jumps to judgment, or even an inability to connect because someone's a hoard. Children are influenced before they even know themselves anymore. How confusion would have an impact on one's ability to come to a clear judgment. To each a purpose. Tender hearts and compassion doesn't make you a different gender. Trauma and not finding belonging causes people to seek attention, and behavior usually negative. Lost love causes fear to try again. And even sexual trauma, binding ideology, or even exposing, causing a vulnerability, and if not healed from, a demonic principality over them that would lead them to those kind of situations, to find comforts in the most discomforting areas. God designed man and woman being vital values in relationships separate. Security, financial integrity, discipline, chastening a man, and mothers, a compassionate connection with children, a motherly provision, a loving guidance. Comfort kills a person. And we might never find our counterpart if we don't put ourselves out there. And if we seek comfort and enlightenment in the wrong areas, that person that God had for you, you might never find. So intimacy also fails in close relationships or friendships because of what people would confuse love as. Enabling behavior doesn't support the misguided. Their souls, if we truly love them, we would guide them not to hell but enlightenment. We would try to help them to see that that path is not one that would probably honor God or man. It just is something that isn't comfortable. Our choices take ground a path, a broad or narrow. Correct foundations would lead us to honorable paths such as success, relationships, or even drawing near to our Creator. Empowerment of what's evil versus good is something that society is now doing, but we need a voice and we can stand out. And if we know better and humble ourselves to what God would have us learn, He would provide an answer. And so Romans 12:21, it says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." That's it. It's about showing examples that we know to be right. And deep down, I feel that people that are pressured into it know what's right and know that's not something that should be done. I am not trying to judge, but just a warning, as I care for each and every person that I come across, but I would not know how to care for somebody in that nature and provide the proper words that they would need to see. And so, thank you guys, and you guys have a good night.